And one cool thing you might notice is that this when you set these walls up and put all the collision objects together, when you move them together, they merge because these are kind of merge into this VDB or volume object. And they kind of blend together into one single mesh, which is really, really cool. You don't need to actually show that. You can just show collision source here or whatever you want to do. The collision Autodot network will pull from that VDB object. So that's op input path, blah, blah, blah. Attribute create, node there. So it's going to pull from that path there. Interesting. So we don't need to preview it, just want to see that it was high enough resolution. Cool. I'm just going to preview to see if this initial RBD solver volume sample was going to be high enough. You can also turn on collision guide, turn this on, and adjust this and see the division size. That's a little more time consuming to see where that collision is going to be, but it gives you the same kind of look. VDB is much quicker, easier to kind of test out. So I made these two walls over here kind of just as accessories, not really all that important to the process. Now I'm going to make another object. It's brand new emitter. We're going to emit from a box, so just type in box. And since we have this wall here, we can sort of tell exactly where this emitter is going to be located. So we can put the box there, and I can go inside and scale it down. Quick and neat way of locating it there. Hit W. Now I know it's right up against that wall. That's the location we're looking at. I'll make it a little bit smaller on these x-axis. Flush it right against the wall there. And we'll do some quick tests. Hit W and just see where that location is going to be. So that's the wall section there. I'm thinking go back a little bit further. I think this distance may have to go a little bit further. I could be a little more careful about the buildings here, but I'm just going to throw it in there for right now. It's going to be close enough for what we're going to be doing. We're going to be comping this back in, and we only really need sort of a really basic general feel for the smoke. We're going to comp it in and do all the cutting out and all the other stuff a little bit later. We're going to have this thing emitting outward pretty hard on the x-axis anyway. So there is our emitter, so smoke emitter. Click on that guy, and we can just click on some of these previews, these initial pyro effects. I'll probably use Ability Smoke. It tends to be a kind of the basic general smoke I like to use. So it throws all the stuff in there. There's a resize container here, and I'm going to go to max bounds and turn off clamp to max bounds completely. I want it to grow as fast as much as I want to, the unlimited amount of growth. And the source is going to be that box again. It's cool. I'm going to increase the scale source volume to a little bit to 2. I'm going to have a little bit stronger. Now if I hit play and turn off W for wireframe, there we go. It's emitting from all angles simultaneously. And roughly every one of these is a meter. So this whole thing might be a little bit large. Now I'm looking at it because, let's see, 0, 1. Let me turn off. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm unlocking the view from the camera, so I'm not moving the camera. I'm just going to zoom in. Oh, that's a meter right there. So that's 1 meter there. Shot cam. So that's a meter. The whole thing could be a little bit small, actually, because I think one of these things, really could be quite a bit larger. That's okay. We'll just go with this for right now. But keep that in mind. This scaling we're looking at here, this being 1 meter, I'm 2 meters tall, so I'd be a giant laying across here. But it's not too bad. I think we can get away with it. But we may decide to actually lock the camera down. You can move out, reposition the camera, then scale everything back up again. So I go to buildings here, and then the whole thing is, after it's all merged together, just put a transform on that. It's easily done. You just take the whole thing and just scale it up by 2, which sort of makes everything here. This is a meter now. 2 might be too big. 1.5 might be about right. There we go. And now we can kind of just move this in to roughly where we had it before. Oh, we've also scaled it up, and we also didn't position it, translate it upward enough. So I think 1.5, half of 1.5 would be 7.5. I don't think that's actually right. Did that set it across the ground plane? The same angle. I'm going to disconnect here. Let's bring that down a little bit. I have to set that on the ground plane just for cleanliness. Transform. Okay, that's good. Cool. Now this whole this smoke is much smaller inside the scene, right? Go back to the camera, shot cam. Go back to frame 1. Take the smoke emitter object and just pull it over W to kind of where we want it to be before, and play. Now you notice the emitter source is way over there, so it's not connecting to its source anymore. So what you want to do is get the source for the smoke emitter to be also located with it. So go to the pyro node here. Yeah, there it is. Go to the pyro node, and we just need to take the pyro node and just move it over to grab its source. Make sure it's wrapped around the source. There's a source object. There's the emitter object. It's wrapped around it. So it should begin to capture that source. Cool. Good. And it will start to grow, and it should just automatically grab what it needs from the scene, from that. I'll hit W, turn that off again. There you go. So start to grow. Cool. Let's go to the dot network and just bring that pyro division size up a little bit. So 0.01, 0.04, much more coarse evaluation. Cool. There's a lot of turbulence in there, which is a little bit more than I want. So I'm going to go to the pyro solver. Go to combustion shape and disturbance. Instead of 0.04, I'll go 0.02. A little less of that turbulence too, and a little more gentle. That's good. And now I just want a little bit of it blowing out, so I want a fan source out there. So under right above gravity, we'll put a fan. Fan force, not the pop fan force. This is a volumetric fan, so the volumetric fan force is what we need. This force per unit area is way too high, so I'll lower that down quite a bit. And again, we'll make sure that we have this unlocked so we're not moving our camera around. And we'll take our fan force here and just move it where we need it to be. Inside the building, coming out. The tricky part is this could actually be blocked by that static object. So we need to have it come out a little bit more. Let's put it back there and see what happens. I'm just going to put it right there. And make the fan force 300. I think it should still work. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic. Drop it down a little bit. The fan is emitting in a kind of a wide cone, so let's bring the cone angle down quite a bit. It's back to 0 there. Lower it to the center of that emitter zone. Spacebar G to zoom in on the object. force there. Perfect. Well, we'll see. Let's go ahead and hit play. I'm going to take the fan force down a bit more. Let's say 100, and also I'm going to take the fall off distance. Max distance 10 is fine, but fall off, and bring the fall off higher, it will actually decrease its power over distance. So there we go. Still pretty strong. So we go to the force per unit area even slightly. Just a little bit of a puff outward is all we really need. Still pretty powerful. That's given like a 500,000. I don't know why they cranked that number up so high. No real reason for it. And there you go. Nice little kind of gentle puff outward. Let's go like 3. 3 is probably pretty good. The quality is really high here just for testing purposes. We can even bring this up even higher. So instead of 0.04, 0.1. And good to start from the beginning here. Okay, too low. If you can't see anything, then you got to bring it down. 0.06 maybe. Cool. So I think I need to dissipate it a little bit more, and I need a little more buoyancy. It needs to kind of come up more. Also, I'm going to take that fan force and pull it back even further. I want the fan force to really push everything in that scene. It doesn't seem like the static mesh is blocking the fan force, which is good. I don't really want it to. I got a nice little fall off. It's dissipating really nicely. We need a little bit more buoyancy. And that can be given by the advanced level, shape, combustion. Don't need that. Buoyancy lift. So instead of 0.4, I'm going to go like, it's going to be warm smoke that's coming out. So I need to give a little more buoyancy. That buoyancy has to be offset with a little more fan force. Let's pull this back to 4.5. So now we got a pretty good look. Let's go ahead and look at it from the scene, from the camera. Let's hide those initial collision objects just by hiding the building. You got a little smoke coming out of the scene. Play with the some of the settings here. The dot network here, and increase the buoyancy a bit more, I think. Again, some of the pyro node. Actually, the pyro solver node is beauty. Buoyancy lift of, let's go 2. I really do want it to come out and come up pretty strong. And I'm going to take the pyro node and bring the division size from 0.06 to 0.04. Get a little bit higher quality. Zoom back. And I'll pause the video and kind of quickly load up some of the cache here. Okay, so we got a quick preview there. Looking pretty good. Overall, not too bad. We'll increase the simulation size by going to the time scale here. And stop this and bring it back. Go into the time setting, and we'll bring this up to like 1,000. Let's also bring up the network, the cache size from 5,000 to 10,000. It's pretty efficient, but I'm going to need that because I'm going to also close this out, go to dot network, and bring the pyro node setting to 0.02 because it's going to really crank up the numbers required here. In fact, I can go to 1,500. I have a lot of RAM on my machine. Close that out. Pull it to the side there. Better save what I got here. So if I rewind now, I should be able to see something fairly good. So let me pause that one more time. Okay, got a few frames cached. You can see this is really starting to get up there. There are 4 gigs right now, cranking away. So I need to really up the number of RAM, or start actually caching this out to a cache file. So there's the book so far. Looking pretty good, but it's going kind of slow. Just kind of par for the course there. So far I like the effect, and if I put a skylight in there I can get some pretty good looks. I'm going to turn off this, pause the sim here. I'll put a quick skylight in, and this will give you a decent, turn off, unlike the view here. There's the light source there. Kind of pull it off to one side a little bit, and this is like a smokestack. I'm going to bring the sunlight effect down quite a lot because it's kind of a cloudy day, and up the skylight portion of it, it's exposure there. And I'm going to turn off enable light and viewport for both the sunlight and the skylight. Actually, this should be 1, and the exposure should be a negative number. Go. Here's a material color, material palette. This is a, we don't have a material for it yet. Let's go ahead and just grab a billowy smoke material, drag it onto the billowy smoke guy. Take the smoke density, shadow density is going to be really low, and smoke density overall is going to be pretty low too. And when I render this out, it looked fantastic, but right now it looks a little bit dark. So to fix that in the viewport, let's go to object level. In the DAP network here, you can go to the Pyro node, Pyro solver, I think. No, Pyro node. And go to the multi-guides. It's a multi-field visualization. And we can sort of lower the smoke density here by quite a bit, and the shadow density quite a bit too. There you go. So density scale, let's lower that a little bit, make it a little bit lighter. Cool. And also turn off that Pyro node, turn off the bounding box and bounding box mesh, and the solver. The bounding box mesh there's somewhere too. I need to turn off shape fast. I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah. Those guys off and play it now. So you start to see a little bit better from your viewport how the final effect's gonna look. Cool. So that's kind of one possibility, and I'll render these out and show you how to comp them back into After Effects. It's gonna be a basic process. I'm not gonna get into it too much because I think you guys can do that yourselves. Also, you need a little modeled object there to kind of emit these things too. You can model it in Maya, just do a file import, drop it into the scene. It's completely easy. Just do an import geo right there. Geometry right there, and drop that in. Or if you want to model it inside of Houdini, it's always great too. Always good to know how to model in different programs, especially if you want to buy this version of Houdini. This version is $200 a month. Really great bargain. You can use it for commercial work. So I tend to do everything in Houdini when I can. All right, cool. So let's keep on going, and that's good enough for right now. Awesome.